Hello students and welcome to my channel. Today we will be learning Standard 9th Political Science Chapter 3 India's Defence System Part 1. In the last chapter we have already studied about the India's foreign policy. Now we have understood that the primary national interest of a country includes defense from the foreign aggression and internal unrest and keeping the borders safe. For keeping the borders safe, every nation creates a defense system at a national level. India has also created such a system. So in this chapter, we are going to understand its nature and study the challenges it faces. So let us begin with what is national security. The international system is made up of sovereign nations. Even if they cooperate with each other, sometimes there are conflict between these sovereign nations. Sovereign nations are the nations who has the authority to govern their own states, or you can also say the independent nation. So let us recall what is an international system. So a system of independent and sovereign nation is known as the international system. Now, though the nations may cooperate with each other, they will have a friendly relations with each other, or they also have a trade relations with each other. But sometimes it may happen that due to some reason there may be differences amongst this nation, which may give rise to disputes or disagreement, causing the conflict between these nations. There are disputes between the nations over boundaries, or sometimes conflict emerge between them over water sharing. Now, dispute may arise on the border issue. To better understand this, let us have an example of India and Pakistan. So, the relation between India and Pakistan are all influenced by the Kashmir question. Even at the present time, the Kashmir question is the basic cause of conflict between India and Pakistan. Even in the case of China, border issue is one of the reasons for conflict between India and China. The border dispute is related to the Aksai Chin area. China claims that the area of Aksai Chin, south of Aksai Chin, and the McMahon line that lies in Arunachal Pradesh is a Chinese territory. Conflicts may even emerge between the two nations on the water sharing issues. Now, many rivers flows through 2 or 3 countries. Now, for example, Indus River, that is the Sindhu River, is the longest river in Asia. It flows through China, that is the western Tibet, India, that is in Ladakh, and Pakistan. Now, there are chances there the conflict may arise due to the water sharing issue between India, Pakistan, and China. So, this can be a reason for the conflict to emerge between 2 or 3 nations. Some other reason for conflict could be not following the terms of international treaties. So, conflict may arise if the nations do not follow the treaties or the agreement which have been made at an international platform. Even if one of the nation denies to follow the treaty or the agreement, then the conflict may take place between the nations. The next one is constantly competing against each other. There is a continuous competition going amongst the nations. Now, the competition can be in the field of production of arms and ammunition, production of nuclear weapons, or even in the field of economy. So this can be one of the reasons for the conflict amongst the nation. Next one, influx of refugees from neighboring countries. Now, India has the neighboring borders with so many nations. Now, if any of the refugees arrive or enter into a large number into our nation, then it would definitely cause a burden on the economy and also a burden upon the resources of our nation. At such a time, a conflict may take place between the two nations. Whenever such conflicts of interest arises between the nations, it is sought to be resolved by compromises and discussions. But when efforts are not enough to resolve the conflict, a nation may even think of war. So, if any problem arises or conflicts take place into the nation, definitely there are way outs. Now, the way out can be that compromises can be done, discussions can be done, or mediation of another nation can be done to solve the issue between the two nations, to settle down the conflict between the two nations. But if the efforts are made and it does not work out, and the problems or the conflict are not controlled among the two nations, then the nations may even think of war. When a nation attacks another and challenges the sovereignty of the latter, it endangers the security of the nation. Such challenges are created due to the military power of aggressive nation. Now, if one country attacks the another country, at that time the independence of the nation is being endangered. The sovereignty of the nation is being endangered. Now, the country which has a powerful defense system, it can attack those nations which are weak. Now, for example, America is an economically developed nation and it has a most powerful defense system. Now, if this powerful nation will make an attack upon the weak nations, like for example on Iran or any other nation, then at such a time, these aggressive nations are going to endanger the sovereignty or the independence of the weak nations. In any situation, a nation's first duty and responsibility is to keep the security system always well prepared and ready. This is called as a national security. So if in any case the conflict arises or warlike condition take place among the nation, then at such a time the nation's first and the foremost duty or the government's first duty is to protect the security of the nation and also to keep the security system, that is our defense forces like the army, the navy, the air force, everyone should be well prepared and ready. This is called to be as a national security. Ways to safeguard national security. National security is closely connected with geography because national security is more likely to be endangered by the nations who are geographically closer. A nation must be assess the threat to their geographical boundaries and the source of their threat. We have more risks from the nations which are much closer to India. Like for example, India and China would be the best example for it. India, China and Pakistan. Now, if a nation has a threat or a fear from the neighboring nation, then it is a duty of the nation, that is the government of the nation or of the defense system, to find out where can we get attacked from or which are the more risk prone location from which we can get attacked, so that at a particular boundary or at a particular location the defense security can be increased. In order to keep this threat at bay, the nation has to increase its military might. The nation has to use modern technology to predict the threat, to build weapon system and modernize and update the defense forces. So to keep the fear of an enemy nation bay or to prevent the causes of the war or to keep away the fear from the enemy nation, the strength of the security and the defense should be increased. Not only increasing the strength but also to build the weapon system and use the modern weapons. Altogether, our sources of security like the intelligence department, it can be a security system and use of modern technology in weapons. This can help to secure our nation. Let us learn about India's security system. India's security system includes the army, the navy and air force. The three forces defends the country. Indian Army. The responsibility of protecting the geographical boundaries of a nation is into the hands of army. The Indian Army is very big and it is the world's 7th largest army. Indian Air Force. The Air Force is in charge of protecting India's airspace. Indian Navy. Indian Navy protects the coastline. The Ministry of Defense control all the three forces, that is the Army, the Air Force and the Navy. The Chief of the Army is known as the General, the Chief of the Navy is known as the Admiral and the Chief of the Air Force is known as the Air Chief Marshal. The appointments of the Air Chief Marshal, the General and the Admiral is done by the President of our nation. The President of India is the supreme commander of the defense forces. That is, President lie high about all the three forces. That is, the supreme power lies into the hands of the President of our nation. The defense forces cannot take any decisions about war or peace without the consent of the President, because the latter represents the civil power. So, if any decision has to be taken regarding the starting of the war or the ending of the war, or to bring about the peace between the warring nation, then the approval of the President is important over here. None of the decision will be taken without the approval or consent of the President, because the President represents the people of India. In democracy, civil leadership is considered superior to the military leadership. So in a democratic nation, the civil leadership, that is the ministers of our nation, that is the civil leadership, is more important or is having the superiority to the military leadership. Many measures are taken so that all three defense forces in India's security system are adequately modernized. For this, some research institutions have been set up. So if the defense forces are modernized, then definitely the security system of our nation will be powerful. For that purpose, many of the research institutions has been set up by our nation. Many training institute has also been set up in our country to train the personnel of all rank of our defense forces so that they can perform their tasks competently. For example, the NDA, that is the National Defense Academy at Pune, and NDC, that is National Defense College at Delhi, etc. So these are the institutes where the personnel get trained to enter into the Army, the Navy and the Air Force. Let us learn about the paramilitary forces of India. There are paramilitary forces to help the defense forces in India. We have already learned about the defense forces of India, that is the Army, the Navy and the Air Force. So to help the defense forces of our nation, we have a paramilitary forces. They are neither completely military nor completely civil forces. Hence they are called as the paramilitary forces. The main task of the paramilitary forces is to help the defense forces. Now here are some paramilitary forces, that is the Border Security Force, Coast Guard, Central Reserve Police Force and Rapid Action Force. The paramilitary forces are responsible for the security of important locations like railway stations, oil depot, water reserves, etc. Similarly, they play a role in management of disasters, whether natural or man-made. The responsibility of protecting the country's international borders during peacetime also rests with the paramilitary forces. Let us start with the Border Security Force. The Border Security Force performs tasks like creating a sense of security in the minds of people living in area near the border, preventing smuggling and patrolling the borders, etc. The Indian Coast Guard. The Coast Guard has been created to protect India's oceanic borders. The Coast Guard carries out tasks like protecting the fishing occupation within Indian maritime borders, preventing smuggling along sea routes, etc. The Central Reserve Police Force, CRPF. The Central Reserve Police Force helps the administration in various states to maintain law and order. The Rapid Action Force. The Rapid Action Force performs the task of bringing people's life to normalcy by moving in quickly in incidents of threat to national security such as bomb blasts or riots. The National Cadet Corps, NCC. The National Cadet Corps, NCC, has been established with the purpose of instilling among the student the love of discipline and military training. Boy and girl student from the school and colleges can join the NCC. NCC is not a paramilitary force, but it is an institute which instills among the student the love of discipline and military training. Home Guards. This organization was established in the pre-independence period. Citizens can join the Home Guard and assist in the defense of the country. Any citizen, man or woman between the ages of 20 to 35 can join the Home Guards. This force has following tasks: maintain public security, supply of milk, water and other essential services during riots or strikes, to regulate traffic, to help people at the time of natural disasters like flood, earthquakes, etc. So students, this is the end of the first part of the chapters India's defense system. In the second part of the video, we will be learning about the challenges to India's security. Thank you students.